Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Bench Press. So, last time we invited a guest to talk on the topic of their expertise. But for today, we are doing something different.
Right. So today, we're gonna do a session called Casually Serious. So, as you can see, it's an oxymoron. Casual, but serious. Serious, but casual. So basically, we know that in this podcast, we will be talking about a lot of serious things because it's a podcast about peace, right? But in the casually serious sessions, rather than interviewing a guest, we're gonna do it in a more casual manner. So basically, it's just gonna be the four of us talking casually about a serious topic.
Oh, yep. And what is our topic for today?
Well, Dika, that was an interesting question. How do you not know our topic for the day? You know what? Actually, before we reveal our topic for the day, I want to ask you guys a question, okay? A very simple question.
Okay.
What kind of sports are you guys into right now? Because for me, it's been mostly basketball and cycling. Basketball, I've been only watching the NBA, especially with the NBA All-Star going on in the past 2 weeks, I think. And also cycling, right? I think the city is very empty right now. There's not a lot of cars, and I can just travel, quote unquote, safely, without cars. And it's interesting because maybe my experience is different from yours. So what's, your preference for sports right now? Maybe Joe?
Well, that depends. Do you consider chess a sport?
I do.
Chess? A sport, Joe?
What's with that reaction, man? Come on.
It's too much
Controversial. You know what? Controversial. But go ahead.
But anyway, well, if you consider chess a sport, then I would say chess. Because I've been playing chess since I was 5. I've competed in a couple of tournaments back in Indonesia. But if you want some more, I guess, a less controversial answer, so physical sports, then maybe I'll say table tennis. So yeah, I think that's the sport that I enjoy most. I used to play a lot when I lived in the university dorm, but I haven't been playing recently because pandemic's going on, so I don't really have anyone to play with. But I guess aside from that, I also go running and cycling because that's what we can do during the pandemic. So yeah. How about you, Aki?
Me, I used to play volleyball, but now I don't. But I do watch games. I do watch Haikyuu.
Oh,
I know you do watch it too.
I know, but Nika.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, there we go.
Sports not really, but I do some outdoor activities such as hiking. Recently, I've been doing mountain climbing around Osaka.
Ooh.
I guess that's it for me. How about you, Dika?
For me, I always like football. Since I was a young guy. Now I'm not that so young. I'm not so that so young.
Okay.
I love playing and watching football even during work days. If they have a match, especially English football during midnight, I still watch it because I really love watching football, especially Arsenal, if you mention it. And I also love to play it, but since of the coronavirus pandemic here in Indonesia, knowing the situation, I've been very far from my hobby of playing football. Yes.
Very good. Aki, I kind of miss hiking in Japan. Actually, it's very beautiful and the air is clean. And for Dika, this is very important. Okay, the reason I was asking this question is because I need to remind the importance of maintaining your health, both physically and mentally. So Dika, watching football is not a sport. Doing it is a sport. Okay. Please.
Hey, but if you want us to be fit mentally, then chess is a good sport. Okay.
That's great. Okay, I have no problem with that. But why I was asking this question is because it's actually related to the topic that we have for today. We have an upcoming event related to sports, which is the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, or right now 2021 Tokyo Olympics.
It's still called 2020.
2020. Oh yeah, it's on Instagram. It is the handle name. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
For those who
It
don't know,
is.
Japan is supposed to host the 2020 Olympics, and it actually has been postponed several times. And right now, Japan is still very persistently planning to host the what is it, the 4-year annual event. And there's obviously a lot of concern. And today we are going to peel those concerns and talk about those concerns and the future prospects of Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah. It's a shame that it was postponed a couple of times. Were you guys looking forward to it? Because
Very much.
If the Olympics happened in 2020, it would have been in the same year that we graduated from university.
Are we that old already, Joe? But that's true. That's true. I was thinking actually to apply for the volunteer opportunity, and I'm pretty sure Dika applied for one. No, did you?
Yeah. I get into the volunteer for the Olympics, and I was quite looking forward to it actually.
So what did you do? Like, did you have anything going on before the quarantine going on and stuff?
Yeah, I was attending several trainings for the Olympics, getting to know many peoples that is also doing volunteers for the Olympics, playing some ice breaking games during the training, get to know people so that we have a sense of team belonging. And yeah, that's the only thing that I did before actually going into the field to become a volunteer. Yeah, nothing much actually.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that you actually applied and got accepted. I think that's two different things, right? And
Yes.
And
Dika,
yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead,
was it
Aki.
hard to be accepted as a volunteer? Or
Yeah,
Is there some kind
that's
is there some kind of like screening process?
okay, that's a good question because there's some of my friends that didn't got into the volunteer, but there is no specific test for the volunteer actually. I don't know what is the benchmark for
Is it- Is it like
Is it merely
face?
luck?
Is it like face factor? Because you kind of have to be like the image of Olympics, you know?
Yeah, probably because of maybe the role that you are looking into. There are several roles that requires many people, like information and so on. I applied for that and I got in because maybe they need a lot of person
Handsome boy.
to guide, yeah, to guide you to guide the tourists and stuffs. Yeah, maybe I don't know the answer for that. Maybe God and the Olympic Committee knows that answer. So sorry that I cannot answer that.
oh, but
okay.
did you know, like, also for Olympics, there were a lot of venues that they are planning to build. Actually, they're building.
There's
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
quite a lot.
So what are the venues? Like where what are they and where?
They're like actually mostly is in Tokyo because it's the main, right?
Right.
And I think one of the biggest one is the new national stadium. And there is also some for like swimming and diving, which they call the aquatic center. There is also the canoe and kayak center, and it's quite interesting because everything is almost new just for the Olympics.
That's
Just
a lot
to
of
put an-
investment.
Yeah, just to put an interesting story. Actually, I was already assigned to become a guide in the new national stadium. So that's why I was very exciting. I was very excited to. I was very looking forward to the Olympics in 2020 because I can become the front line of the volunteer in the national stadium and be witnessing the opening ceremony and stuff. But yeah, because of the the coronavirus thingy, it got postponed. Yes.
Must be quite sad, yeah.
Yes.
It's yeah. I mean, but at the same time, it's a lot of money for Japan to invest in a sense that it's a one-time event, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And
It is.
I think they were making like a, what did you call it, like a sport village or something like that. Can anyone explain? I don't know. I don't really know. Like I'm not really into like the Olympics. So can anyone explain?
So actually, it's called like an athlete village where the athlete could stay there, but it's not like necessary they should stay there. So it's just built like to state that, oh, this is where our athlete stays. So but they still have the choice to like book like hotels and stuff. But I think this athlete village is not only like one building, but there are several of them, and this is like I think also like how do you say it? For Japan, I mean Japanese companies to sell more apartments and mansions, because I think it's the, if you sell it during Olympics, you could say, oh, this certain team lives here, so they stayed in here. So
Selling point, huh?
Yeah. It's good for business.
Right.
So that's why they're very willing to spend high budget on it, because I think they are expecting a high return in exchange once everything is finished.
How likely do you think the Olympics is gonna be held though? I mean, what do you think are the challenges? Like, I know the Japanese government is still very persistent on holding the Olympics despite the pandemic, but what do you think are the challenges are like for to actually hold it during times like this?
There is a lot, to be honest. Challenges. Where do we start?
From the outside, I see it as a budget. Like it's a lot of money. And I'm sorry, I'm a very money-oriented guy. Seems like, but I don't know. Japan is an aging, like their population is aging, right? And based on what you say, Aki, it just doesn't seem very. It's like it's not good for them to invest in lands, no. And they obviously spend a lot of money, right?
They actually spend around, it's just estimated, they spent almost 26 billion US dollars.
Oh my goodness.
But their like target, I mean like the budget is supposed to be only $7 billion US dollars.
And that's because of the postponement.
Yeah, with all the pandemic and stuff.
Did
Yeah, it
you
cost a
get
billion.
money, Dika, for volunteering? I know it's called
Of course
volunteering.
no.
Excuse me,
I
you
know
know
it's
what
called
volunteering
volunteering,
is?
but like,
Of course no. But actually, instead of money, you get some coupons
Experience.
for lunch. In the I think it's in the athlete village or in the canteen in the Olympic site, and also you get the free goods like the uniform, the official uniform,
Wow.
official shoes. You will get some of that stuff, but no money, no cash.
Okay, wait, Dika, this is the $1 million question. Like,
Oh, no.
do they
Yeah.
put
Oh, no,
put
oh, no.
steroids in the food? Do they
Yeah.
put steroids in the food?
Sorry, can you repeat it? Can you repeat?
Do they put
Pardon me?
Do they put steroids in the food? Like, do you get buff like after eating the food from the athlete
Depending on
village?
your answer, Dika, you might not live to see another day. Okay.
I cannot answer that because I haven't experienced
I'm just kidding. You don't need to answer that for real.
No, but
I'm trying to be serious here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
but yeah, interestingly, I see it as a very interesting thing or phenomenon, because in one side you can see it as a reason, right? The reason being you're spending a lot of money because it's a good investment in the long run. And on the other side, it's just an excuse in a way, because Japan is in a very tight situation, I guess, in a way, because they're losing their face to newcomers in Asia, and we're going to talk about that later. Joe is going to talk mainly about that, but it's very interesting to see how Japanese government is spending their money.
I think because Japanese government mainly, not mainly, but they have a very deep focus on economics. And if you think it in a futuristic point of view, it's a lot of income for them. That's why because the pandemic is really like out of the image. No one expected it.
Fair point.
So they were like trying
Who could
to
expect
imagine
the pandemic
it.
though?
Yeah, so they're trying to imagine it like in a very positive notion, but the pandemic came, so it all,
Yeah, no one predicted it. Yeah, unfortunate event.
Right.
Actually, another. Oh, Joe, did you want to say something?
Oh no, go on.
Another challenge, I think that is very dangerous, I guess, or it's actually showcasing the deep-rooted problem of Japanese society is the issues with the committee leaders.
Right.
Joe, do you wanna maybe like explain a little bit about that?
No, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know this by now, but there was who was he again? He was a committee member, but he said some sexist remarks about.
It's the committee chairman actually. It's
Committee chairman.
Mori.
Yoshiro Mori.
Yeah.
He was an ex prime minister as well, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So he said some pretty controversial statements. I think he said. Correct me if I'm wrong. He said that if women are to participate in the committee, then they should shut up. Like they shouldn't talk. Yeah.
Yep.
Because, sorry. No, it's more like they said they shouldn't have women in the committee because
they talk too much.
They
talk too much. Yeah.
And interestingly, his replacement also made another sexist remark. Did you guys know about that?
What?
Yep. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, what's his name again? The other guy. Your Highness.
Okay. Just a correction.
Yeah.
I think it's not his replacement. Oh, okay. Wait. What controversial statement are you saying, Andrew?
It's the Olympic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not his replacement.
What
That
is it?
is that person is not the replacement, but he's the creative chief for opening and closing of the Olympics.
Okay.
So he's different. His name is Hiroshi Sasaki Tomo.
Right.
Yeah, because the one that replaces the Mori chairman was the
woman.
ministry in line for the Olympics, which is a woman, Hashimoto. Hashimoto Seiko. Yeah. And the target of the Japanese government to appoint her is to show the world that they're appointing women.
So it's just
Wait, so has there been any progress, like in terms of gender equality after she was chosen as the committee chairman? So like, were there more women?
I think one thing that she immediately, I think the committee, not, I think because she is just like like the representative of all the people leading it. One change that they did is to put additional I'm not sure of the number, 40 women on the committee, if I'm correct. So it's like a sign to show that to everyone that we are recognizing the power of women.
Yeah, that kind of things. Yeah.
But do you know, like, appointing her is also controversial for women activists, toka?
Wait, why is
I
it?
mean, sorry
Why is
for
that?
speaking Japanese. Yeah, because I think the most of the women activists thinks that it's just to show. I mean, like, it's not actually her that they want to appoint. It's
Right.
just that there's the controversy. So in order to put an end to the controversy, they think that she is being used as a scapegoat,
Okay.
so that this all ends.
in a way, just to save their faces, yeah.
Yeah, because like the other like appointee that they wanted to appoint as the next chief is a man, also like an 84-year-old soccer player, former player. But
heard.
then again, they are trying to think of the situation, so they come up with Hashimoto Seiko instead.
I see.
So here's another interesting thing, right? It's the problem is not only about sexism per se, but also about the other problem is about how Japan is valuing hierarchy like very much, which like as you can see, what's his name? Yoshiro Mori is pretty old, and then the guy that was supposed to replace him, the footballer guy, is like you said 84 years old.
Yeah,
right?
he's an 84-year-old former leader of Japanese soccer.
So in a way, maybe the Seiko Hashimoto is a pretty young woman, and is supposed to represent both spectrum or both sphere of things. What do you guys think?
But do you know,
Yeah.
like, go Dika.
Yeah, to take note that actually Hashimoto itself, she's also an Olympic. How do you say it?
Olympian.
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 An
Yeah.
athlete? Yeah.
So that's why the government maybe took to consider she as an chair committee leader, because probably she knows what to do and what to handle.
Fair point. Well,
But just one note, like, I think
Go ahead.
like why it's also problematic is because she has do you know that she's one of the cabinet members in Liberal Democratic Party, LDP?
LDP.
Yes.
So she's
Oh,
one of
okay.
the two women who is a cabinet member. And now that she enters the Olympic, she has to give up her political ambitions. She cannot be
Really?
a cabinet member anymore.
oh, that's news.
Is that a rule? Like,
Yeah, I think
It
it is
so it
a
applies
rule
to-
that if you join, like, because Olympic is they said that it's a very neutral event.
right.
So being like an cabinet member while doing the Olympics is a bit controversial for them. Like,
Right.
there might be biases, even though we all know that there will be politics within Olympics.
Right.
But yeah, she has to give up her being a cabinet member to be the chief in the Olympics. That's why everyone, the women activists are like saying that it's very problematic in a sense, because they are trying to deprive her of the choice, because before she doesn't really want to be the chief, so it's like she has no choice.
Right. Just a note to maybe like for some of our viewers who not familiar with Japanese politics. So LDP, Liberal Democratic Party, is the ruling party of Japan, and probably it's the continuously ruling party.
It is.
Yeah.
Probably won't
yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Well, they did change the DPJ, but
Yeah.
that's
in
another.
2011, no?
Yeah. So like it was interrupted for a few years, but then they
Just
went
a
back
few
to
years.
LDP. Yeah. But anyway, that's gonna be like a whole different topic. So
Right.
Yeah.
just wanna clarify that.
I mean, if you want to look at it from a positive perspective, hopefully that the world will take notice about the prevalent issues in Japan, and maybe not try to correct them, but Japan will slowly realize that they have an issue with that, and it's going to be resolved.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's definitely an issue. Like they appointed a woman as a committee chairman, but they don't really it didn't really solve the issue, right? But do you think like it's an improvement from the previous situation?
I do think so. For me,
what do you think, Aki?
I don't.
You know,
I don't
Why?
feel it's. I don't feel it's sincere.
yeah,
There's
It's
no
like-
sincerity at all.
right.
I mean, they wouldn't appoint her if there was no sexist comment by
Right.
the former Prime Minister Mori. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to look at it from a more optimist perspective. In a way, by her rising up to the leader position, hopefully, kids knows that you can also become a kind of leader in the future. Although, she's just a replacement, but hopefully the perception and the notion that women should stay as a housewife in Japan is slowly, changed
Right.
in the next few years. But maybe
So
I'm just
there's
too
more of
optimistic.
so there's more of an indirect influence there. That's what you mean. Right? Yeah.
Hopefully. Dika, you're being quiet. You want to say something?
No. I'm good. I'm just listening to your thoughts. While I'm having technical issues here, so please proceed.
Okay, just chime in whenever you want to join
Yes.
in. Joe, you were trying to say something?
Oh no, I was just thinking like how we got into this topic, and then we're talking about the challenges of the Olympics.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
the biggest
and
challenge
you
of
can,
them all. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you can. Yeah. How about the COVID-19 situation, though?
Right.
I think this
That
is the
is
biggest, the biggest enemy of the Olympics.
That's like the elephant in the room. like
Right.
it was just hiding. Right.
COVID, nah. We have to talk a lot about this.
Yeah, because at the beginning, because I had one training as my time during my volunteer. I had one training I still vividly remember it was in February 2020. It was in the late February, so I think pretty much of various country has reported many cases for the COVID-19, and during that time there were the vibes of the trainings, although we should disinfect our hands and use the mask during our training. I still feel that during that time there is still a strong will to proceed on the Olympics. But after that in the, I think it's in April the emergency state has been declared, isn't it? No?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and then after that, the scene of the Olympic, the scene of the volunteer, has suddenly changed 180 degrees.
In
How
what
do you
way?
think about it? We face uncertainty. We face, are we going to do this voluntary thing or not? Because we don't have any clear information about that actually during that time.
I think
For us,
one thing that makes it so uncertain at that time is that the number of COVID cases in Tokyo is rising. Plus, during that time, there was no vaccines at all.
Yes.
It's still
Yes,
underdeveloped.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the concerns.
It's kind of ironic because it seems that the initial the Japanese government's initial response to the pandemic, they're kind of like, it's not a big deal, because they kind of want to proceed with the Olympics.
Yes. That's right. That's right. I
They
totally
didn't
agree
want-
with you, Joe, because before the emergency state declaration,
Yeah.
you can see the number is not very high. It's like maybe all out of Japan, you can say like 200 people got infected, but after the emergency state of emergency declared, you can see the number got
Suddenly
pretty
rises,
high. Yeah, like
Yeah.
2,000s a day, and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of backfired, I guess. So like they
Yes.
wanted to hide it so that they can proceed with the Olympics, but then because they tried to hide it, now the cases have gone bad, and now they they have to postpone the Olympics. You know, I actually talked with some of my Japanese friends, and then he said an interesting thing. So like the reason why, well, at that time the prime minister was still Abe, right, Shinzo Abe.
Yes.
The reason why he was very persistent about Olympics, one of them is that first he wants to like achieve two things before the end of his term. One was to be the longest serving prime minister, which he already got, and second was the Olympics. So like he wanted to leave some kind of legacy there. Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
personal agenda, yeah.
Right.
Wow.
But
Yeah. But unfortunately, unfortunately, COVID doesn't let Abe to do that.
right. And now with the pandemic, he's like, okay, Suga, you deal with this.
It's like bye.
Bye bye, Abe. Okay. So, moving on to the next topic, maybe.
Yes.
So, do you have anything you want to say about Japan's persistence in continuing the Olympics?
Japan's persistence.
Yeah, maybe they're waiting too long for the next Olympic after 64, because I still remember during the nomination of Tokyo being the host of Olympic back in 2014 2013. I think they have previously applied to become the host 2 times before this, and when they got this opportunity to host the Olympic, they were so hyped with it, and suddenly it became nothing because of the COVID. I think it's
Right.
I just personally see this as a very sad event because I was living in Japan at the time where everyone was talking about omotenashi, about the promotion of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics,
Right.
and then suddenly it just gone.
COVID happened.
Yeah.
COVID happened.
Nico, omotenashi is Japanese hospitality, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking about the reasons why Japan is so persistent. Well, I guess one of them I kind of mentioned. That was when Abe was still prime minister. That's one of his personal agenda. That's what one of my Japanese friends told me. But if we look at from a more state level perspective, like there's also like there's also a geopolitical factor here. So there's also the issue of rivalry with China, and this is probably something that is less often talked about. So as you guys might know, like the Beijing Winter Olympics is set to be held next year in February.
Yeah, 2022, right?
Yeah, February 2022. That's the Beijing Winter Olympics, and China has made it clear that they will go on with the event because the COVID cases in China have largely been contained, right? And from a geopolitical perspective, like the rivalry between China and Japan has intensified in recent years. So Japan has lost a lot of, for lack of a better word, status to China. So for example, China overtook Japan as the world's largest economy in 2010. China is becoming increasingly influential in regional affairs. And more recently, there's also the Belt and Road Initiative, which challenges Japan's long-established role, right, as the region's infrastructure developer. So, like, if they fail to do the Olympics and China succeeds in doing the Olympics, that's like an extra blow to Japan.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, like, the Olympics was supposed to be like I guess a showcase of Japan's way of demonstrating that. Oh, that's why they're putting a lot of money into it, right? So they want to demonstrate that. Oh, look, we're still the third largest economy in the world. Yeah.
That is actually a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this year in February, the International Olympics Committee, is that what it's called?
Committee.
International
IOC, yeah.
International Olympics Committee. So they changed their Twitter banner from Tokyo Olympics to Beijing Winter Olympics because it's gonna happen in 1 year. But they changed it back. I recently checked their Twitter again and they changed it back to Tokyo. But in February, because the Beijing Winter Olympics is going to be held in next year, February. So in February this year, they changed their Twitter banner from Tokyo Olympics to Beijing Olympics. And that caused a lot of buzz that caused a lot of media attention in Japan. They're like, oh my god, what does this mean? What does this mean? Yeah, so you can see how China is actually a big a factor here too.
That is so true.
Talking about money itself, maybe why is Japan persistent to continuing the Olympics is because money, as Joe mentioned. As we can see the data from several years back, the number of tourists in Japan has increased year on year, and it's actually it's a stable number until the COVID-19. Plus, they expect during the Olympic that they will welcome many tourist spectators and also tourists that will come to join the party of the Olympics in 2020. And recently Japan just decided that they will not continue to they will continue to host the Olympics without foreign spectator, which is for me it's pretty sad, pretty big loss, because I think I don't know about you guys, but I think Olympic itself, it's not the core of the Olympic. It's not about the sport. I think it's about the diversity, about the 5 circles of the logo of the Olympics. Don't you think so?
Right.
Interesting.
That was so deep.
I want to ask you guys a real question, a real quick question. If we've been talking about if Japan proceeds with the Olympics, if Japan, managed to successfully host the Olympics. Now, what if Japan actually fails to host the Olympics? Who do you think will be most affected?
Who do you think will be most?
Wow, what a good question.
You're speaking like a host from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
No, exactly. This is a very interesting question.
Well, first of all, the Japanese government, definitely. I think they've already spent a lot of money there.
Yeah, they will be pissed off.
Yeah, and with the issue I mentioned, about China, it depends on whether or not, if China proceeds with the Olympics with the Winter Olympics in February, and Japan fails to do it, then it's like an extra layer of shame. It's it will be a huge blow to the Japanese government, their confidence and everything. Yeah.
But aside from Japanese government, I think one of the most affected in this cancellation or not pursuing Olympics is the athletes. Because they've been I've seen a lot of documentaries how a lot of athletes are doing part-time jobs, doing food deliveries, and sometimes because they spend too much on creating their own training place in their own homes because they cannot go out due to the pandemic. So they are trying to utilize what they have, and the things that you need or the equipments you need to train is not that easy to get. It costs a lot of money.
Right.
And most of them are saying that all their money is being spent on equipments. And if this won't push through, then all of their spendings is for nothing. So I think for me, they are the most affected in this situation if ever it doesn't pursue on happening.
how many athletes are willing to participate in the Olympics though? Because I know some countries have already said they don't want to participate. I think Canada said. I'll need to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure
I'm
Canada
not
said they're
so
not going to
sure.
send their athletes. Yeah.
I'm not so sure either, but
But there are already some athletes who's already in Japan.
yeah, and pretty much like I don't know, maybe half of them is from what I can see. For example, in badminton, for the badminton itself, they were actually preparing hard for the Olympics to go on actually. So I think there's a quite big number that is actually going to the Olympics.
Yeah, you know, maybe if an Olympic athlete is listening to this, maybe they can put down in the comments what they think.
That's
and
true.
enlighten us on
Let
the
us
issue
know.
too. Let us know. So.
Or for those who are very knowledgeable about the Olympics and those athletes, let us know your comments or answers.
Yeah, and also adding to Andrew's question, I think the one maybe it connects with with Joe's answer. I think the one that is very what do you say? How do you say it? The one that gets the gets the bad impact from the COVID, worse, is I think the economy of the Japan itself, because from the beginning the Olympics was set to raise the economic activity here in Japan, and then suddenly when you spend too much money for the venues stuff, for the athlete itself, so that the Japanese can enjoy the whole Olympics, I think it's hard to recover the economy itself, in my perspective.
Well, anyway, that was a very interesting talk. But I think it seems that this episode has gone long enough. So, what's our timestamp now? Around 42 minutes?
42,
Yeah.
43.
All right. Okay, so, all right, to our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope all of you enjoy our first session of Casually Serious here in Bench Press. But, right. So, before we end it, why don't we summarize our talks today? So, at the end of the day, Bench Press is still a podcast about peace. So, how do you think our talks today relate to peace, and what you guys learned from today?
I think one of the things I've learned is how Japan has a very long way in bridging the gap between women and men. In terms of gender equality, there's still a lot of things to improve. And in order in being considered peaceful, gender equality is one of a very important factor. And I think from these experiences with the Olympics, Japan would learn how to empower more women to be more politically active as well. Yeah, I think that's for me.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that. And just because they appointed like a woman for the committee chairman, committee chairman doesn't it means nothing if they're not actually solving the core issue, if they're not actually giving her power, right? But,
yeah.
I think there's it's not only limited to gender issues. There's a lot of implications that you can take from this what they call it drama. Like the patriarchal society and the the old people or experienced people should rule kind of approach. I think Japan is in a way very developed, but sometimes can be very katai. How do you call it? Like very undeveloped in a way sometimes. And the Olympics brought a lot of attention to these issues, and not only limited to gender inclusive society, but also just a generally more inclusive society. Hopefully, Japan will learn from it.
right.
For me, I think Japan should learn regarding the problems that occurred during the process of the Olympics. And I think Japan should learn that the Olympic is not only for the sport events and also for the economic well-being for them, but also is for the movement for us, the world society, to acknowledge that peace is achievable if our society can come together in one big event such as Olympics. And that's why I think because Japan is thinking that this is a big opportunity to recover the economy and stuff, then and it's a big event that they can profit from this. I think Japan should maybe decide that what is the main purpose of Olympic. I think we can reflect that from the logo itself, where 5 continents go together and respect each other for that, especially for the Olympic time being. Yeah, that's all from me actually. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So should we close it there?
Yeah. So I guess for now this is the end of our first casually serious session. I'm still getting used to it, so bear with me. Yeah, so for now we will end here, but we hope to see you on our next episodes. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Wow.
And, yeah. That's the one thing you shouldn't forget.
I'm just kidding.
And true. Share it to your family, your friends, everyone.
Including your cats.
Including your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right.
Okay, that's it from us, Bench Press, and see you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace out.
Out.